Hello and welcome to a new episode of Pure Racing Pit Reporters. We're here with the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series and the upcoming season 2024, and I have two incredible guests here today. To my, right? Yeah, right there. Over there, Gianluca Guiglia, the PR director of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. And down there, the new sporting and technical director, Joe Balash. But before I start to talk about or ask stuff, let's start with Gianluca. I think you can introduce him very well.
Well, yes. Of course, Joe is a well-known person in the EuroNASCAR world. He was a NASCAR international liaison for several years, and he worked in Mexico, Canada, in Europe, and he had developed the series, the international series for NASCAR. He was for several years director of the NASCAR, what is now the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He worked with ASA. He has a long contact list in his phone and a long career. So we're all really happy to have him back. But my first question is, what are you actually doing this year for EuroNASCAR? Your responsibilities.
Well, the first thing is getting up to speed on any changes that have occurred in the short time period when I was out doing racing in the U.S. So I'm trying to get up to speed on that. But my main goals are to make sure that we properly maintain our current regulations, look at how they're laid out, make sure that they're clear and everybody can understand them. And that's both on the technical side and the sporting side of the regulations. We have a really good race director in Philip, and he and I have worked very well together in the past. And I look to work with him again this year with what we're doing in the series. And just make sure that we have a big open line of communications. I want to make sure that we have an open line of communications with the teams so that they understand both the technical and sporting regulations, and that we're working together in growing the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. That's kind of it in a small nutshell. I know there's a lot more involved in that. But I don't think our viewers want to see every little detail right now. So I want to let everybody know that we're excited about getting started.
And of course, you're going to play a key role as well for drivers coming from the US and going to the US. NASCAR drivers from America are trying to race in EuroNASCAR, and European drivers looking for support to race in the US, because you know both worlds.
Yes, that's another part of the project and the job description is working with the European drivers to find out what their capabilities are, and then figuring out at what level within U.S. racing that they should start their U.S. racing. And there's multiple opportunities, whether it's at the ASA level, whether it's at the ARCA level, whether it's trucks, Xfinity, all the way to the Cup Series. We need to make sure that the driver's resume and abilities match the level that we start them at, making sure that they're presented in the right light with the right team so that they can succeed in the drives they have in the U.S. And inversely, trying to find U.S. teams that want to be involved in the NASCAR Euro Series as well, along with current U.S. drivers that want to come and develop their skills even more in the Euro Series.
Gian, before we talk more about the working stuff, I have a question that is more on a personal level. You have been to Europe a lot of times with us in the EuroNASCAR, but then there was a little bit of larger or bigger break, and now you're coming back to Europe. How is it to leave the US again, see so many different countries, cultures, languages, and people from the other side of the world?
Well, I think first of all, the opportunity is just tremendous to be able to get the chance to be able to do that. It's very exciting. At the same time, maybe just a little bit scary because it's not only the chance to work with the series, but my family is relocating to Central France. So we're gonna make a big move here by the end of the year, and and just really show how committed we are to the success of what we're trying to accomplish.
God, that's incredible. And we have a lot of stories in the past from Joe. Joe is the perfect source for stories in the paddock because he has been everywhere. So what's make being in Europe special?
I think that number one, the relationships in the paddock, the team members, the drivers, the owners, the officials, I think is special. I think that there is a good relationship, a lot of dialogue, uh, slightly different culture in the paddock than there is in the U.S. Uh, that makes it special. And that's one of the things that I look forward to is those relationships, and that's what makes this type of business successful because racing is built on those relationships. I used to say, there are some times on the highest level of the sport, if a mechanic drops a wrench, somebody else steps on it so they can't see it. But at our level of the sport, if somebody drops a wrench, two other teams are handing them one so they can complete their task.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure we continue to have that type of feeling in the paddock.
John, John, nice question, but Joe, you have said something very interesting there. You said the culture is a little bit different to the US, but if we have a fan, a brand new fan, NASCAR fan from the US or from Europe, it doesn't matter, and he's standing in front of you and is asking you, when we compare the European NASCAR series and the US NASCAR series, where do you think are the core values? Are they the same? Is this the same feeling you have when you are a fan at a racetrack? What do you think is making NASCAR racing on both sides of the world so interesting and so exciting?
Well, first of all, I believe that the NASCAR race fans, whether they're in America or in Europe, are super passionate about their sport. Uh, and the passion is what drives them to want to see the action on the track, which I believe we bring a high level of action on the track. But I believe we also bring access to allow the race fan to get close to their heroes and to be able to get an autograph, do a paddock walk, be able to be on the racetrack at the start of the event for a while, see all the other activities that happen on the racetrack, whether it's the music or the cheerleaders or any of those type of things. It the access makes it special as well. That the fan can really participate in the event. And I really want the fans to share that on their social medias. I want them to show people that they've had access, that they got an autograph, that they can take a picture at the finish line, get a picture with their favorite driver, and share that to let the racing community know that this is a really cool place to be.
You've been you've watched the EuroNASCAR grow since the very beginning. Um, how far do you think we have come so far?
Well, first of all, the from the idea of this style of racing in Europe to the concept to the actual first cars on the racetrack, that is a huge step and a big commitment from the series to bring NASCAR car style racing into Europe. It's different from other forms of racing, and we like that difference. We talk about that. There's no electronic controls to assist the driver in a lot of things. That it's all hands on and feel. Uh, and so it makes it a different driving style, which is cool. I mean, it's you want to be unique and help uh, the drivers understand it's about them and not about a whole bunch of different features within the car. You still got to be a good driver to be able to get your way around the racetrack. Um, so I think that's important to understand that the uniqueness of the style of racing uh, within our sport.
Absolutely, absolutely. Andre, I think we are both curious to go deeper a little bit in in what Joe does outside the track, because uh, characters are important in racing, especially this kind of racing, because people can relate, and they all see we have the same passion for racing. Joe, we know you wrestled, you played football, you even cleaned septic tanks. Is that true?
Gas tanks, underground gas tanks.
How did you get into racing?
Um, Interesting story. As a youth, um, the people that lived across the street from me had a drag racing car, and I had the opportunity to get up on a Sunday morning at very early and jump in the back of a pickup truck and ride to the racetrack and help do small minor things, clean the wheels and wipe the car down, and participate where I could in helping them with drag racing. And my father owned a gas station, so I did mechanical work as well. Uh, I went into university thinking that I was going to be an automotive teacher, and kind of concentrated on that at the beginning, uh, and never thought that I would be in stock car racing. Along the way, I ended up being a product manager at Mac Tools, helping develop products that mechanics were going to use in the marketplace to repair vehicles. And I got a phone call from our racing department that asked me to help train crew chiefs at the original ASA, American Speed Association. And I took that opportunity to go over and train these crew chiefs on engine electronics and fuel injection, because they were ushering in a new fuel injected engine. Uh, the following year, I got a phone call and said our technical director, uh, we want some things different, and they asked me to be the technical director for the series, and that pulled me out of industry and into racing to become the technical director of American Speed Association. And over the years, just kind of got promoted a couple of times and ended up being their VP of racing operations and taking over other aspects of the sport, ticketing and hospitality and maintenance of the vehicles and all those other things, and also managing the technical staff. Um, I was there, doing that for 4 or 5 years, when I got an interesting phone call from a person by the name of Gary Nelson, who said that he had an opportunity for me. And over a period of weeks, we had a number of conversations, and I ended up being the technical director uh, for the regional tours within NASCAR. But it seems like I can't keep a job, and 60 days later, I got another phone call asking me to go to lunch, and I left that phone call as the director of the Busch Series, which is now the Xfinity Series. So it's just been those interesting phone calls along the way.
I guess the main line here is always answer phone calls.
Absolutely.
I hope Jerome did also call you.
Um, yes, yeah. Actually, the conversation with myself and Jerome, uh, and for those of you that don't know Jerome, is one of the key factors that NASCAR style racing is in Europe. We've had a great relationship over the years, and in the time period of COVID, when I I left the NASCAR organization and went a different direction. He was very supportive of me. We've always stayed in contact over the years. And it got to the point where this specific opportunity really came into fruition. And he and I talked. We got Ann involved because she's very involved in the business of running NASCAR Euro Series. Uh, I got my wife Tammy involved because she's very involved in running the business of the Balash household. And we had some great talks that ended up with us all deciding that this was the right opportunity at the right time.
John,
Amazing.
John, I think we're going to have the CEO and president of EuroNASCAR, Jerome Galper, also here on the program very soon. We're going to try to grab him and try to get a little bit of his precious time. So, people out there, we're going to have Jerome Galper for sure also here on YouTube. Maybe we get him at the track. It's even cooler when we have it in person. But okay, I have one last question. This is going back to work. And my question is, what do you think are the short-term challenges and goals you want to achieve with EuroNASCAR?
Well, I think there's a couple of levels of that. First of all, kind of what I started with was me getting up to speed as soon as possible on anything that's changed since my absence. That's the first challenge, is making sure that I'm current on all the rules and regulations, so we don't get to the racetrack and I'm thinking about 2018 and not today, right? So we got to make sure we're up to speed on that. Secondly, I need to get into the paddock and reintroduce myself to everybody that's there. I know that there's some new teams and new competitors. I want to make sure that I'm available to everybody. I think you know me in the past that usually I start my day with a paddock walk, making sure that I'm available if anybody has any questions or comments. I jokingly say that I'm 6'2" and 280 pounds. I'm hard to hide, so I might as well be out and open with everyone and have those conversations, and I welcome those. So that's kind of the first challenges. Then the next thing is, once I get that understanding, is with the current team that's in place, is working on what the vision is short term, first race, first year, direction into the future, those type of things, and getting to understand those fundamentals and help develop those fundamentals as we go forward. I want to say absolutely as we go forward. I'm not here because there's something broken. There's nothing broken within EuroNASCAR. I'm here because I think we have a great series, and I want to be part of future growth and taking the series a new direction, or not a new direction, but a direction into the future.
Yep. I totally understand that, because we lost at the moment Gianluca. The internet connection in Italy is not always the best. Therefore, he's gone. But I think we talked about this topic for now about 20 minutes. I think that's enough for now. We're going to meet you at the track, so I'm going to put a microphone back on your shirt again, and we're going to talk about the other goals and the deep information about what you're doing later on when we are deeper in the season, I think.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. You can watch EuroNASCAR, by the way, on the YouTube channel of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. It's all for free. Just jump in, hit the bell, hit the subscription button, and you get all the racing for free live on YouTube. So just leave us a message, a comment if you have any question for the next program, and see you next time.
I have one more question for Joe. Joe, what are your hobbies outside racing now? And do you think you can pick them back up when you move to France?
Well, there's a lot of things that I try to do. I may or may not be good at it. I like to do some woodworking. So I like to build things and do repairs around the house, things like that. But building tables or a cabinet or whatever that may happen to be, doing a couple of quick projects here at my house before I sell it, putting some new flooring down and painting and wallpapering and those kind of things. But you know, the bigger answer is, what do I do when I'm not at the racetrack? I go to another racetrack. I will usually find myself at a local track around Indiana. Anderson Speedway is our home track here where I live. Rick Dawson, the manager of that track, is good friends with the family. My wife grew up at Anderson Speedway. She works there during the summer. My granddaughter is now even spending some time working at the racetrack as well. So on an off weekend, you may find me at another racetrack somewhere, being a race fan.
I guess you're gonna have a nice tour of a few racetracks in Europe now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Gianluca. Now we're going to end the show. Goodbye.
Goodbye.